Announcing a special offer from the International Hospitality Institute. From now until December 9th, 2021, IHI is offering a 20% discount to attendees at GHS who are not already members. Individual, corporate, and allied memberships are available. To join, visit internationalhospitalityinstitute.com, click on Membership, and enter GHS20 at checkout. There is no better time than now to take advantage of IHI's membership benefits. Come join IHI's global community.
It's like we are live and ready. What's going on? How's everybody doing? This is Bruce Jordan, the MJ Hotels, and we have our all-star panel here. We have Glenn Haussman, the voice of hospitality. What's going on, Glenn? We got CJ in the house. CJ.
Hey, Bruce, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Everybody, most of the people that's here, I don't even have to name because everybody knows them. They're like hospitality famous. So, but we still got Regitse. What's going on, Regitse? And of course, we have the award-winning hotel owner and businessman extraordinaire, Rupesh Patel. What's going on?
Hey guys.
Hotels. So today we're going to be discussing social media and what we can do to advance our hotels and social media, and of course avoid the cancellation culture that's going on. Just to give you an idea, there was a guest goes up to a housekeeping cart and starts looking around, and the housekeeper sees him and goes up to the guest and say, "Hey, what are you doing creeping around my housekeeping cart?" And the guest says, "I'm just checking out your amenities." And the housekeeper says, "You know what we call guests who do what you're doing?" And the guest says, "No, the housekeeper says amenity creeps." So we have to make sure that if the guest is just looking at our housekeeping cart, just imagine what they're doing to us online on social media. So my first question is, if you never done social media before, if you've never been involved in social media before, what will be the first steps that you will take to get your hotel online on social media? Rupesh?
So if you've never been on social media before, welcome, because it's a big platform for anybody to really get exposure and get some sales out of it. Because I think the name of the game at the end of the day is we want to get exposure, so we get some kind of business. Is it either to brand awareness, selling some rooms, something to really attract that guest to your hotel or your brand? I think the first thing to do is really get on board with maybe a few accounts that you think are going to be popular, and you got to know your audience. And I think that's a mistake a lot of hotels make. They don't know their audience and they just pick a Twitter or something else, that another social media platform that their guests aren't on or their audience is not on. And I think that's a mistake that, we can all learn from, because I made that mistake in the past. And so really focus on maybe the few channels that you're going to focus on, and can you actually use them to your advantage, and can you actually dedicate some time? I think that's important.
Absolutely. CJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Rupesh said, but I would take it a step back, and I would start with a broader communications plan. What are you really trying to say? How are you trying to get it across? Who are the stakeholders you're trying to connect with? If you're looking at it from a consumer perspective, are you trying to connect with your guests? If you're trying to look at it from a B2B perspective, if you're a hotel management company, are you trying to connect with owners or developers or brands? So you have to really take a look at your organization as a whole, build out that communication strategy, figure out your values, your principles, and what you're trying to get across through those communication channels before you start diving into social media platforms.
I was looking, everyone wants to get that group business back, but I feel like a lot of us aren't taking the necessary steps to stay in front of the guest face, to stay in front of our client's face. And one platform that does that very well is LinkedIn. So what are some of the things that hotels can do and hotel owners can do to just start building their LinkedIn connections and start making those connections now, so they have that relationship and that rapport before they start back going into the sales process?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is a great platform from a B2B perspective, especially. I think it's probably the top platform for B2B. You want to really get your brand out there by starting that profile page, building it out, establishing your connections, and joining the conversation And you could do that by a couple of different ways, right? Everybody thinks about posting and sharing various things that you're doing at the property or doing at the company level. But you also want to make sure that you're doing things like this and joining LinkedIn Lives and really being part of that community, joining groups. Because that's where you're going to find the most connection and the most value out of LinkedIn.
Okay, Glenn, what do you think? Because Glenn has like a more president connections than the president of the United States. Him and Rupesh. So
yeah, Rupesh is killing it with his.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
You two guys.
But I do want to say that CJ is absolutely right. It's a business to business thing. Don't think you're going to be getting a lot of consumers coming to you from that. So I don't believe Rupe is going to be going to, LinkedIn with all of those people and saying, come stay at the hotel properties that I own. Instead, he's using it for other purposes. I think if you're going to be looking for consumers, then you're still talking about Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and a lot of these other things that are out there. CJ, you're absolutely right about the brand building. If you are a hotel company, i.e. one of the major brands, management companies, ownership groups, et cetera, then it's absolutely essential to have a LinkedIn strategy. But if you're going to be doing something consumer, do what CJ said, think about a coherent plan, work it out. And my tip, don't cheap out on the photography. You're not a professional photographer. People will call you out on it and dismiss your property if you don't have great pictures.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's important that you have a great presence on social media, especially LinkedIn, if you're trying to do that business to business. And yeah, we're not selling rooms on LinkedIn. We're making connections. You're looking at other connections with other folks, maybe in your area, your local area, where maybe if you're the director of sales, that you connect with other director of sales, other GMs, other vendors in your market, because guess what? There will be times when they're sold out. You have an opportunity to build that relationship and they come to you first. And so, yeah, building out a company page, a company profile definitely is going to help, elevate and get your name across and top of mind when we're talking about social, we're talking about who do I go to first, right?
Yeah, totally. Hey, Bruce, and let me throw in as well that CJ said you got to, you're posting stuff about your own thing, but you have to be engaged with other people as well. You have to comment on what they're saying. You have to like that sort of stuff. I happen to have a real love-hate relationship with social media. I hate having to do it every single day, but I understand that it's essential to what I do. So if you want to get the love, you got to give the love. What was the Beatles line? The love that you take, the love that you take is equal to the love that you make, or something like that. That social media.
Okay.
I think it can be super overwhelming, just to throw it in there. It's super overwhelming for many hotel owners, right? Like where to start, which platform to be visible on. But I believe that it all starts with a proper brand voice strategy, as CJ said as well. So if you have the foundation in order to start with, if you nail that, it's going to be so much easier to create content and be consistent. Show up on those few platforms that you choose and be consistent. And figure out your brand voice. Who are you? What do you stand for? What values are you representing? And then put it out there, make a strategy, and don't let yourself be sort of overwhelmed, because it is a fast-paced world, but it's better to choose a few channels than spread yourself to over all the platforms, basically. Choose a few good ones instead.
You bring up a very good point. I feel like a lot of us, we have a challenge with identity crisis. We have to show the guests we're more than just a hotel room. And who better to answer that question than the queen of hotel storytelling? So what are some of the steps that we can take to go ahead and focus on that brand?
For a second.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Queen. Yeah. Okay. But
sorry, I just love him, so I know I could get away with that.
What are some of the steps we can take, Regitse, to tell our story? Just like maybe 1, 2, 3 to begin with.
Exactly. So as I mentioned before, the figuring out your brand voice, right? It's quite specific. You have to define what sets your brand apart from your competitor's brand. And the more you try to appeal to everyone, the less your voice will be heard. That's how it is. So figure out who you are. Try to describe your business as if you were sort of describing a good friend. You know, what values can you put on your property? Are you like outgoing and, you know, enthusiastic and fun, or more laid back and loyal? Really try to nail it, figure out who you are and what you stand for. And then it's also much easier to appeal to the right clientele. Who are you talking to? Who are you trying to address? So I think doing the groundwork properly and really spending time on this is really worth it in the long run. And it also, of course, if you're a business property and you do, like if you have mice facilities and stuff like that, you know, go on LinkedIn, build a proper strategy for LinkedIn. Focus on Instagram is a super great platform as well. Some hotels even focus on TikTok, but that's not like super general. So you have to just do your groundwork, do it properly, and as Glenn said, really invest in quality. Have a good photographer who knows what he or she is doing, coming out to the property and working their magic, because the competition is fierce today. You have to really do the groundwork properly.
Yeah. You know, when all this fails, like when the pandemic hit and we didn't have the group business and we didn't have the sales that we needed, we felt like, hey, let's put sales and housekeeping. But at the end of the day, when you don't have that group business, only two legs you have to stand on is your marketing and your revenue management. So what are some of the steps that we could take, and what do we need to do? Because not everybody has a 10-man team to run all these platforms. What are some of the tools that we use to make this thing easier for our properties to get the content that we need to get out there? I'm going to start with Rupesh on this one, because I see him on all platforms all the time. So
yeah. So I mean, for the hotel side of things, I mean, you can lean on your team when you don't have content to share and you don't know where to start, because, you know, I guarantee you those folks that are working the front desk or any of the positions are on social media on multiple platforms, and they have a huge some folks have a huge following, maybe more than your hotel does. And I feel like a lot of times guests don't want to follow the hotel, but they want to follow that person, because that's more of a connection than just following a room or a lobby, right? If you have that story that you can share, and your guests, you have stories every single day in your hotel. Like it or not, every single day, there's some magic that's happening in your hotel. And I feel like we don't give our team that opportunity to share those stories that are happening. There's magic happening every single day in your hotel. So lean on your team to get some of that content out to the masses. You know, one example is TikTok. I mean, there's so many amazing things that you can share within 30 seconds, 60 seconds, or even 3 minutes on TikTok now, where you can share a story that can go viral, that can bring you a lot of business, or just brand awareness for the next time they're thinking about coming to this market in whatever city, right? So
you got to do it while you dance, though, if you're on TikTok.
You don't really have to, but I think there's you know, honestly, if you're not on TikTok, get on TikTok just to learn what people are doing from a content perspective, and take it to whatever your audience, whatever your focal, you know, social media platform is, because that is super important. How people are engaging on these 30-second videos, 60-second videos is amazing. And the creativity is remarkable when you're talking about capturing someone's attention and then really sucking them into their channel, right? Is anybody on TikTok here?
Actually, I am on TikTok. I was trying to get Glenn to do it, but he felt like he didn't want to do the lambada. So I was like,
I did that once. I did that once at the Goldstein bar mitzvah, and I'm still paying the price for it.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I know some people that they're sold out their entire hotel, even wedding seasons, because of TikTok. So what they did was they actually got a local influencer. You know, a lot of us were like, oh, we want an influencer on any platform, including LinkedIn, that has millions of followers. That is not the truth right now when we're talking about social media. It is micro influencers that are making a big difference. And I know this hotel, a few hotels that used micro influencing on social media, on TikTok, to sell out their entire hotel for the entire summer, just by spending maybe $20,000 on a weekend party. Now, you think $20,000 is a lot to spend over a weekend, but they made hundreds of thousands of dollars over the summer just from one simple weekend campaign that they use the content evergreen for the entire summer and sold out their hotel. That is the power of social media. So if you're not on it or you don't know where to start, lean towards your teams, lean towards where people are, what's popular right now, because guarantee you that's where the masses, are for what your hotel's looking for.
Yeah.
And there's business people on LinkedIn or on TikTok too. Do you guys agree?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also a challenge for many hotel owners. What should I share? Like what sort of content should I put out there? And as Rupesh said, it doesn't matter if you run like a small bed and breakfast on the countryside or a hotel which is part of a larger chain. You are literally covered in stories. There's stories everywhere all the time. You just have to look for the stories in the right places. So do that and then try out TikTok if it appeals to your property, and if not, then just stick to Instagram or other platform. I think there's so much potential. Absolutely. CJ?
And always look for that content. Make it a daily thing, but don't go there, grab your Instagram account and always look for something. You should always have that content stored. Keep saving it. Go about the property, you see something, you might be able to use that content later. You might be able to repurpose that content. For example, maybe you do a video and you're able to break that video down and cut it up and make it into stories. Maybe you use some photography, maybe an event happened, maybe there was a promotion on the property. Things like that people are looking for, but always make it an ongoing thing.
In this day and age, we have people that, hey, you know what, they say, I don't get it. I'm never going to get it. I don't want to get it. So therefore I need to hire someone that does have all the tools that I need. CJ, when do you think it's time to start looking at a social media marketing company to manage everything for you?
Yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, in this case, a lot of people are short-staffed, so they may need to outsource it out, and they want to take a look at how they can build out that property. You may also want to look at, if you're at the property level and you're short-staffed and you're a hotel management company, can corporate help you out in any way? Can they give you some tips? Can they give you some templates? So when you're feeling like you're not able to develop that plan like I was talking about before and basically deploy it, you want to take a look at the social media companies, or if you're able to maybe hire somebody to do that part-time, or if you want to look at a larger marketing company or PR company that can help you. It also depends on your marketing budget and dollars too, right? So
absolutely. Glenn?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand the distinctiveness of each of the social media sites and why they've come to the fore. As CJ already said, LinkedIn is amazing for B2B. Instagram is great for terrific photographs and all of that. I'm finding TikTok, even though I don't use it, to be a great place of positive energy that brings out a lot of the best in people. It's really creative. It's really funny. It's really interesting. And then I find the opposite with Twitter, which I feel like its whole existence is just to tell people how much you hate them and how much they suck. And then Facebook, I've really lost interest in Facebook as well, because of how they've allowed political fanaticism and negativity get a hold of everything. I find that I don't even post on Twitter anymore other than very specific facts about what's happening with my show every day. I put up an opinion on Facebook just recently, and it was just a question that I asked about dealing with supply chain issues. And while a lot of people are great, I was told how that I need to move back to communist Russia, and I need to do all of these kinds of things from just asking a question. So you really need to figure out what your goals are and where you want to be seen, and then create content that works with that. So I would avoid sites that might create some sort of negative energy around your brand at this point. I love TikTok, even though I don't use it because it doesn't work for me as a B2B guy. And I love Instagram because it's just beautiful imagery that brings out the best and everything. What do you guys think?
I think, Glenn, you would do amazing on TikTok. I think your energy would get a million followers.
I'm a little scared about that, though, dude. I mean, it's just like, here's the thing with social media, everybody. We have to do it so much, it becomes exhausting. And, you used to hear these stories that, they're not in the news anymore about all these influencers that are getting burnt out, and people would laugh at them. Oh, all you do is blah, blah, blah with social media. It is freaking exhausting because there's a deadline every single time you turn around. So unless you have the proclivity to do that, it might be best to find somebody to assist you with it. And Regitse, you had a great idea about content calendars and stuff like that. You combine that with what CJ said about having all of that stuff ready to go. It'll alleviate some of that pressure and allow you to think of being creative instead of having knee-jerk reactions to have to put something up for the sake of putting something up.
Exactly. Make it easier for yourself. At the end of the day, you're running a hospitality business. That's what you're good at. That's what you should be doing. So being creative is great, but if it's exhausting, I mean, you should find another way to do it. So absolutely, your content calendar is one way to go around it, and just plan a little bit in advance. Don't sit like putting things on Instagram in last minute. That's never a good idea. But yeah, try to make it easy for yourself and make it fun. That's what I said as well before. Choose one or two platforms that really work for your business than try to appeal to everyone. That never worked for anyone.
Right, you're right. Because when you try to appeal to everyone, you wind up appealing to no one. I'm having an interesting situation happening with me that gets to the point of Rupe's point that you need micro influencers and not people that have necessarily millions of followers to fill up your hotel over the summer. For me, I'm pitching a company for ads. And I could tell that they keep wanting to think I'm a consumer type person. It's like, what do you mean you only got 7,500 views on that video? Why didn't you know? That doesn't sound good. You should be getting 50,000 views on that video or whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, but you're trying to sell franchises of your XYZ brand. If I was bringing 50,000 people to this video, 49,000 of them would be irrelevant to you, and you're not, it's no point to that. So you have to understand who your audience is and really, really focus hard on that, because you can have 1 million followers, but if 999,000 of them are irrelevant, it doesn't matter how many followers you have, because you're not going to make any money at your hotel.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, things are getting really sensitive as our culture evolves. I remember I was managing a hotel, and this guest checked in. And he was just causing so much trouble. Come to find out, he actually burned down another hotel down the street. So of course, when I found that out, I said, I got to get rid of this guy. So I didn't extend his reservation. Unfortunately, it was at the height of COVID. So he went to the newspapers, and the newspapers said, the hotel is kicking people out on the street in the middle of COVID. I'm like, that's not the case at all. So just something like that comes to your hotel with the bad press and this cancel culture that we have going on. What are some of the things that we can do to protect ourselves from this happening? I'm going to go with Regitse first.
I'm actually going to ask one of the other guys to answer this first. I had something else in mind I wanted to talk about. I'll get back to it in a second.
Okay.
All right. So I think, Bruce, we had talked about you wanting to say words on this particular issue. And,
absolutely.
I think we're at kind of a crossroads right now. 6 months ago, I think more people were running scared. Now I think there's a result, a revolution against this cancel culture thing happening. Because what happens, everything in society is on a pendulum. Goes one way crazy, goes back the other way crazy. You want it to find somewhere in the middle. So right now we're somewhere in between the two sides of crazy with this cancel culture stuff. You're not going to be able to avoid it, because everybody loves to feel hurt these days. It feels like. So no matter what you do, somebody is going to complain about it. I asked a question. I said, hey, maybe the military can help with these supply chain issues. Unload some of these boats, drive some of these trucks, et cetera, et cetera. What do you all think? How would you solve this problem, right? So then I got flamed, and people were like being really jerky to me, like I said. So this is going to happen to you no matter what at your hotel. Don't take it personally. Chances are you're not being an a-hole. You're not getting something that you deserve. People behind the screens of the computer, when they're anonymous, feel they could be total a-holes without accountability, and people are starting to say no to that these days. So be honest. Don't put up something that is super negative or aggressive or says something about someone else. Just keep it to why your hotel rocks, why your food is great, why your drinks are great, why your outdoor space is great, why people are great, why your team is great. Just keep it positive and show reasons why people should stay with you. Don't get caught up. Never, ever, 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 never post something about politics. But you guys probably already knew that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now there are a couple of things. Yeah.
Politics, religion, a lot of things. So I think you having a meeting at your hotel with every employee because it's not just on social media, but it's people with their phones capturing moments in your lobby, capturing moments in your hallways, capturing moments in your banquet space, restaurants, right? They pull up their phone. It's like you see it on airplanes, right? Everybody quickly, within 5 seconds, pulls out their phone and starts recording. When there's some issue comes up, even if the issue doesn't look like it's going to be an issue, they still start recording, right? That is the world we're living in today. So I feel like if you have meetings and have that communication within your team to say, listen, we don't talk about these things. Here's what we're passionate about. It's kind of like responding to online reviews, especially the bad ones, the negative ones. You don't just go out and blast that guest because they said you had this, even though it wasn't the right, maybe it was a false review. You're not going to put negativity out there because it looks like you're just a negative hotel. Same thing on the social media front. Same thing on the engagement front. You're not going to go out there and yell at guests because they were upset about the AC not working. The food was cold. Drinks weren't what they saw on social media, right? You're going to keep it positive, and that's the kind of the angle that you're going to go to. Because if you start going into fighting with people, it's going to hurt you across all channels. Even the people that are supporting you are going to turn around on you because they're like, we don't want negative people around us, right? And that is a vibe that you need to come together with your entire team.
And the good news is, even if somebody lashes out at you and is a real total jerk and all of that kind of stuff, and you feel like you're being canceled, no one's going to remember 48 hours from now. There's so much anger and negativity right now. I can't keep track of who I'm supposed to be offended by anymore. So I've chosen my list of top 5 that I'm offended by, and then the rest of it I have to let go of, just emotionally. But the fact is, no matter what kind of kerfuffle you may wind up finding yourself in, it's just going to vanish really, really pretty quickly because nobody can concentrate on anything. They're going to be like, oh, wait, I hate you. No, I hate them now. I'll see you later.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference here between cancel culture and a crisis at your property.
Correct.
Right. I mean, I think Glenn hit the nail on the head. I think we're going to start seeing less of cancel culture. Hopefully, I think people are really just fed up with it in general. I think earlier in the year, if you remember, I think it was in February when the Republicans were holding CPAC. And there was an uproar at the Hyatt property. Everybody's forgotten about that by now, right? But you are going to have a crisis.
Now we have to hate Hyatt again. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. I apologize for that. But then there's a crisis at your property, and there are crises that are going to occur. You're going to have a disgruntled guest, and you're going to have to understand how to handle that situation and monitor this situation. You could do that on social media to see if people are posting. They have media monitoring platforms, social media monitoring platforms that you can purchase and stay on top of that conversation. But most importantly, it's really to have that crisis communications plan in place to prepare for when a crisis does occur.
I was looking, my thing is numbers. People want to see results. And so what are some of the results that you've seen at some of the properties that you guys had to deal with versus when they didn't do social media versus a year later when they actually started pursuing social media and implementing social media into their marketing? I'll start with you, CJ.
Well, I'm trying to think if I to do this because I'm more on the B2B side of things. But you can definitely see, for example, with LinkedIn, when a client is active compared to when a client isn't active. And I would say a lot of that has to do with the thought leadership opportunities on there, whether it's posting an article on LinkedIn directly, whether it's sharing a publication that they were quoted on, or maybe commenting on an issue on in the industry, right, and following up on that. That really creates brand awareness and elevates the brand. Other people are going to see that. If Glenn likes it, Rupesh is going to see it, and it's just going to keep rolling down the hill from there. So you need to be active on those social media accounts, and like we mentioned before, really engage with the community, ask questions, ask polls. And I know everybody on here does that quite often on LinkedIn and sees a lot of success. So it's really about coming up with that plan and executing it on the platform that you think will be best for your brand.
CJ, absolutely. Talking about your community and stuff like that, what about, again, I'm a B2B guy also, but what about engaging folks within your community, those local restaurants, attractions and stuff stuff like that, and bring that to your social media feed. Because as you know, people are staying with you at your hotel. Sure, you got a great hotel, but it's also because of where your hotel is located. And we're in this time right now where everybody wants to have heightened experiences, feel part of the neighborhood, and all of that kind of stuff. So the more that you could do to be a reflection of your community, I think the better off you'll be. Plus, if you're promoting other businesses, they'll promote you, and you create a virtuous circle that way.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think it's so important to have those relationships outside of social media as well. You should really have those relationships, building them, strengthening them outside, going to those restaurants and other areas in the community where you both can have that, mutual benefit.
Yeah, and social media, especially talking about the local community. I mean, if you just started in social or on social and you built a whatever platform you're on, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever channel you're on, the best and the fastest way to kind of build your followership, or not even followers. I hate followers now. It's really the engagement side of things. Because if you have 1,000 followers or 1,000,000 followers, but nobody likes your stuff or nobody sees your stuff, it's wasting your time, right? I feel like the fastest way is giveaways, promotions, partnerships with other folks in your industry. So imagine if you're at a hotel, you're the Hampton Inn in downtown Orlando, and all of a sudden there's a hospital near you, there's some restaurants that are award-winning, or there's some really passionate people that are running those restaurants. Guess what? If you come together and say, hey, listen, we're going to give a prize pack full of $100 or $200 or $500, and you give away something, everybody, and there's platforms that you can use to kind of do giveaways. Everybody can come together and say, listen, anybody that we collect emails from in this situation or whatever, followers, we'll all share and we'll all win. And eventually we can market to them. Eventually they can follow us. Eventually they can be our connection. Eventually we build this relationship there where they stay at your hotel, they eat at the restaurant, they go bowling at the bowling center next door. And it's a full circle where if they need the hospital, they're also there with family and, whatever. So I feel like it's, the giveaways or the promotions that you could do with partners in your local market is huge if you're trying to get started with social, and you're trying to build some content too, because it's hard to think, and I post every single day on multiple platforms, and you guys do too. It's hard to think of thousands of things that you could talk about every single day, and there's days I'm like, I'm not doing this today.
Oh, hold on one second. I gotta hold up there because Rupesh kicks ass with doing what he does, and it really frustrates the heck out of me because I can't stand doing it to the degree that he does it. So he's always coming up with great poll questions or stories about why he's inspired, really digging deep and doing things that are different than the typical stuff you see, like, look at this amazing sandwich that we serve at lunch. He's trying to make real connections and engagements with people by incorporating their thoughts directly into what he's posting.
Yeah, and for me, I have an audience. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, I think this brings us back to the whole storytelling concept. It doesn't have to be rocket science. Like, work with what you have where you are. That's how it is. Like, where are you located? Use your location, your local partners, tell a story about your specific part of the country, your region, whatever it may be. Tell a story about your employees. Each employee you have is a gold mine of information and inspiration if they want to be. Of course, you have to ask them first, but start with what you have. And I think that's why so many hoteliers get like super caught up in it, because like they think they need so much more than what they have. But location and staff is a super great ways of generating content, and use the different features. For example, of Instagram, you can go live. During the pandemic, I was personally very inspired by hotels all over the world actually using this concept to, their bartender was doing live cocktail shaking and they are showing the premises live, super inspiring. So you can actually get a glimpse into the property and what it's all about. That's storytelling.
Absolutely. I think we have a couple of questions over here that I definitely want to get to before we go out. I asked to make a test so I can have collected numbers to prove my point. I think what they're asking is their director.
I've been talking to her. What she's actually been talking about, she's trying to prove to ownership and those in charge the importance of a smart social media campaign in different ways, but they just don't get it.
I had that experience. I think everyone here has had that experience where we have some people that are just old school they own a flip phone, and and they just don't see the whole social media thing and how it benefits them in their business. So those are tough situations.
There are some people you are not going to be able to influence and get to understand the way things are done, particularly when it comes to the digital world, because it's not as tangible for people. And it's very easy to not be a part of it if you're not stuck to computer screens like we are all day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes it's tough to show that ROI too, and that's why people are a little hesitant. But even from being a consumer myself, I can tell you when I go to restaurants or hotels, I'm looking on Instagram, I'm looking at reviews, and if you don't have one, I'm gonna really shy away from it, to be completely honest with you, because I want to see what's going on, if it's active, what the nightlife is like. So I'm using all those platforms to see if this is the right pick for me or not. You have to be part of the conversation.
And
Absolutely.
also, I think, just to last sentence here, I think, for example, Instagram or social media in general, in the time that we live in, it's a sort of a digital concierge. If you're not there and answering questions from your audience, you're missing out, and they expect you to be there. So kind of replacing the old school version of a concierge. You're online, you're digital, you're there. Of course, you can't be available 24 hours a day, but you need to know that your audience is there and expect an answer to their questions in the digital world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rupesh? Okay, there you go. Your mic is on. There you go.
I think it's super important that, you have an online presence and I love that she's saying, answer questions. I mean, I go to Amazon, and before I purchase any of those items, I know I have questions in my head, and I go to the bottom and read all the answers and questions, right? It's the same thing on social media. Like I want to know that this hotel, they don't share their breakfast. They say they have breakfast, but they don't share exactly everything they have. I would love to see pictures. I'm a foodie, right? I would love to see pictures of what they're offering. I would love to see the quality. I'd love to see the presentation. I'd love to see the cleanliness. Those are all the things that you can share on social media that you can't on your website when you're booking a hotel room, right? I want to see the 360 view of the room. There's only let's specifically, I just booked a hotel room for February next year in Deer Valley. They have 3 pictures of their room in the booking, right? And this is a big hotel. This is a beautiful hotel. There's only 3 pictures of that hotel. So what do? You go to social media and you go look at other pictures of guests posting the other side of that room, because I want to know, is that view of the corner view, or is that view of whatever? People, and this doesn't matter what hotel it is. It's not the 5-star hotel that everybody's looking at. It's every hotel. They want to know, is there an angle that I'm going to be looking at? Is that room that that I selected have a view of the river, or whatever the case is? That's what social media, that's what you could do with social media. It's the other, think of the other side of social media, or of your images, or whatever your booking channel is. What's the other side of it, where guests are asking questions? Present that on social. I love that part.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can't hide anything nowadays. It's there. Just like Rupesh said, the room. You're trying to position it perfectly. That's great. But people are going to go online. They're going to go onto Instagram or Facebook or whatever platform they use, and they're going to see what the other side of that room looks like from people who are showing the other side of the room, or writing that review about the property or the pool or the restaurant. People aren't going to stop at your platform. They're going to go elsewhere as well. So sometimes you have to have that platform there so you can play a little defense as well.
Yeah, and I like on Instagram, you don't have to have an Instagram account to have an Instagram account. There are guests that are posting your location without you even knowing it, right? If you don't have a social media account, especially on Instagram, people are posting and tagging your location, and then all the images, all the guests that posted about you is in that feed. So if your hotel sucks, or you don't have the cleanest hotel, whatever, it's being shown on social, even though you're not on social, even though your hotel's not on social and active, right? That's the good part about social, where it's open to the world now. And so you have to put your best foot forward when you're presenting stuff, but then also make it an experience for your guests too, because guess what? They want that love too. When they can post a picture up and you reshare it, that's sharing love, right? And there are so many different parts of just social media that we can use as hoteliers that can make a difference for us, that can benefit us, right? And build a lot of, I mean, there's so many things, loyalty, there's so many things that can happen just through the social media platform or channel that, you focus on.
The most important thing, especially when it comes to guests, is that people are looking for you. They're people are investigating you. They're investigating you like the FBI before they stay inside your hotel. So the more positive content that you can put out there and optimize it for search, the better off you're going to be. So there's some key things that you could do when you want to optimize your property for search. Make sure you have all the search terms for the things to do in the area and make sure they're associated with your property. Make sure you're using the right hashtags of things that people are actually looking for so you can connect it to your property. You have to use the correct keywords and optimize your location for search so that you can be found in this ever sea of improving and time draining content that we're putting out every day. So, but it looks like that is our time.
Sad. That was such a fast 45 minutes, guys.
I know. I feel like with all the followers that we have together, we could create a small country. But but thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, just go ahead and put it. Oh yeah, that's right, Bruce. Use the MJF Hotel hashtag. Go ahead and put them in the comments. And of course, we'll go ahead and put our email information and contact information in as well. Thank you for joining us. It's been our pleasure, and I appreciate you guys for coming out. We got the all-star team here, and we are rocking it.
And let me say, I'll be back at 2:15 doing a great panel with some awesome brand leaders. So make sure you tune in for that a little bit later. And of course, No Vacancy live at noon. I'm up in New Hampshire today with a great special show.
Glenn's always pitching, everybody.
That's how I do social media, baby. Don't you worry.
And he's great at it too. He's awesome at it.
He's only pitching because they catch it so well.
Guys, it was a pleasure hanging out with all you guys, and to the attendees, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Absolute pleasure. Have a great day. Bye.
Take care, everybody.